The ship landed slowly on the bright white platform. The alien city around it was tall and golden. Everything looked clean and quiet. The humans stepped out, looking around. Their leader was a man named Ethan. He was not the strongest or the loudest, but he always stayed calm. His eyes moved across the city, taking in every detail. They had come to meet the rulers of the Valari Empire. No human had ever walked this far into their world. The Valari were older than humans. They lived longer and built cities that floated in the sky. This city did not float, but it was still full of wonder. A group of Valari soldiers came forward. They wore shiny silver armor and stood in straight lines. Behind them walked a tall woman with blue skin and bright gold eyes. Her crown was heavy, her dress full of metal and light. She was Queen Zalera. Ethan stepped forward and bowed his head. Queen Zalera did not smile, but she nodded. She spoke in her own language. A device on Ethan's arm translated her words. She welcomed them, but her voice was cold. Beside the queen stood her daughter. Her name was Lyra. She looked younger and less cold. Her hair was white and braided, and her eyes watched Ethan closely. She said nothing, but something in her gaze made Ethan pause for a second. The queen turned and walked into the palace. The humans followed with their guards. The palace was filled with light and gold walls. Statues of Valari heroes lined the halls. The air smelled like flowers and metal. Inside a wide room, the humans and Valari stood on two sides. There was a ceremony. Both sides spoke about peace and hope. They gave gifts. The Valari gave a crystal that held songs of their past. The humans gave a tree seed from Earth. After the ceremony, there was a feast. Strange fruits and glowing drinks were placed on long tables. Music played from floating orbs. The queen left early. Lyra stayed. She sat near the humans, watching them eat and talk. Ethan noticed Lyra again. He gave a small nod. She nodded back. Then she stood and walked toward him. She spoke slowly, using the translator. "Do all humans talk so much when they eat?" she asked. Ethan smiled. "Only when the food is strange. It helps us forget we might not like it." Lyra sat beside him. They talked for a long time. She asked questions about Earth, about oceans and snow. Ethan asked her about the stars the Valari traveled to. Lyra did not act like a princess. She laughed sometimes at him. Other Valari watched, some frowned. Others seemed surprised, but no one stopped them. The next day, Lyra showed Ethan a garden behind the palace. It was full of plants that moved when touched. The water in the pool was clear and fish with wings flew above it. They walked and talked for hours. Soon they met again and again. Sometimes during meetings, sometimes in the garden, sometimes just for a short talk. Their words became easier. They started to understand without the translator. Their eyes did most of the talking. But not everyone liked this. In the palace, some whispers began. Guards watched more closely. The queen noticed her daughter was not around as much. She asked where Lyra went, but no one gave a clear answer. Still, Ethan and Lyra met. Not in secret, but not in the open either. They were careful. But their smiles grew wider. Their walks grew longer. Space between them grew smaller. One evening, as the sun on this strange world set behind the golden towers, Ethan and Lyra sat by the pool. Her hand brushed his. It was a small thing. Just a moment. But it changed everything. Neither spoke. They just sat there, watching the fish in the sky. The stars began to shine. Earth and Valari were far apart, but in that moment they were close. Something had started, and nothing would stop it now. Subscribe to Terra Strike Wars for more stories like this. Like, share, and turn on notifications. Queen Zalera sat alone in her private chamber. The walls were tall and covered in soft gold light. She looked at the stars through a clear window. Her mind was not calm. For the last few days, her daughter had changed. Lyra smiled more, spoke less, and often left without saying where she was going. Zalera asked her guards about Lyra. They said she went to the garden. When asked who she met there, they gave no answer. Some looked away, others said nothing at all. The queen knew they were hiding something. Her daughter was not like other royals. She always followed the rules. But now, something was different. Zalera called a council meeting. 12 elders of the Valari sat in a circle. They were old and wise. She told them her concern. Some nodded. One of them, Elder Silon, spoke first. Your daughter is close to the human. This is known. How close? Zalara asked. Close enough to forget who she is, Silon replied. The room was quiet. Zalara felt heat rise in her chest. She wanted to know more. In another part of the palace, Ethan walked slowly through the garden. He looked at the strange plants. Their colors changed when touched. The sky above was clear. Then he heard a voice. You are early, Lyra said. She stood near the pool wearing a simple silver robe. I couldn't wait, Ethan said. They sat down together. Silence came easy between them. They spoke about Earth again. Lyra asked about rivers. Ethan asked about the Valari moon. She said she never cared for it until he asked. A guard watched from a hidden spot. He held a small device in his hand. Back in the council room, Elder Cylon placed the device on the table. A picture appeared. It showed Lyra and Ethan sitting close by the pool. Their hands touched. Gasps filled the room. Zalara stood. She is a princess. This cannot be. Another elder, Nala, spoke softly. They are young. Perhaps this is not dangerous. Cylon frowned. This is how empires fall. Humans do not understand us. This bond could bring shame. Queen Zalara closed her eyes. The room was loud with voices. She raised her hand. The voices stopped. I will speak with my daughter, she said. That night, Zalara called for Lyra. The princess came into the chamber with calm steps. She did not look afraid. You have been meeting the human, Zalara said. Yes, Lyra answered. Why? Because he listens. He sees me, not just my crown. You are the heir to this empire, Zalara said. Your actions reflect us all. Lyra looked at her mother. You built a strong empire, but you forgot how to feel. You are more than power. Zalara said nothing. Her daughter left the room. The next day, Ethan tried to visit the garden, but the gate was locked. A guard told him he was not allowed there anymore. Waited near the gate for hours. Lyra never came. Inside the palace, Lyra sat in her room. She stared at the wall. Her mother had locked her away without saying the words. In the human sector, Ethan spoke to his crew. They warned him to be careful. He came here for peace, one of them said. Not for love. Maybe both are the same, Ethan replied. A meeting was called between the humans and Valari. It was formal. Many sat around the round table. Queen Zalara did not look at Ethan. Ethan spoke about trade, about science, about unity. He said nothing about Lyra. After the meeting, he waited in the hall. He saw a shadow near the corner. Lyra stood there, hidden. They looked at each other, just for a second. The queen's eyes had seen it. The palace was full of lights and voices. The great hall was prepared for a special event. Long tables were covered with silver cloth. Music from glowing orbs floated in the air. Both human and Valari guests stood in lines, waiting for the queen. Ethan stood with his crew near the edge of the hall. He wore a simple suit. His eyes searched the crowd. He had not seen Lyra in days. The guards no longer let him near the garden. Messages he sent were never answered. But something told him she would come tonight. Then the music changed. The crowd turned. Queen Zalara entered with her royal guards. Her crown shone bright. Her face was cold. Beside her walked Lyra. She wore a long silver dress that moved like water. Her face was calm, but her eyes searched until they met Ethan's. For a moment, the world grew quiet around them. The Queen gave a speech about peace and strength. She spoke of two worlds learning from each other. Her words were strong, but her voice was flat. Lyra stood behind her, silent. The guests clapped. The music returned. The Queen walked to her throne at the front of the hall. Lyra moved through the crowd, stopping to greet a few guests. Slowly, she made her way toward Ethan. You came, Ethan said. I had to, Lyra said. They watch me all the time now. I know. They stopped me from seeing you. I missed our walks, she said. They stood close, pretending to speak about trade like the others. Their voices were low. Their eyes said more than their words. Can we go outside just for a moment? Ethan asked. Lyra looked around. Follow me. She led him through a side door. The guards did not stop her. They stepped into a quiet hallway, then into the back garden. The sky was dark. Stars lit the water. It was the same place where their hands had touched before. I don't want to hide, Ethan said. Neither do I, Lyra said. They sat by the water. Silence fell. Lyra reached out and took his hand. Their fingers locked. Behind them, the garden door opened. Queen Zalara stood there. She had followed her daughter. For a second, no one moved. The queen's eyes went to their joined hands. Her face did not change, but her eyes did. They widened. Something inside her broke open. "Why is my daughter holding your hand?" she asked. Her voice was sharp, not loud. It cut through the air like a blade. Lyra stood slowly. She did not let go of Ethan's hand. "Because I want to," Lyra said. "Because I care for him." "You are a princess. This is not your choice to make." "Then what is?" Lyra asked. "Who I speak to, who I laugh with, who I trust." Ethan stepped forward. "Your Highness, I never meant to cause trouble. I never planned this. But I respect her, and I would never harm her." Queen Zalara looked at him. Her face was hard to read. "You are human," she said. "You are from a young world. You know nothing of us." "Maybe," Ethan said. "But I know enough to see her for who she is. Not just your daughter." The queen turned away. "Return to the hall, both of you." She walked back through the garden door. Guards stood waiting. They did not speak. Inside the hall, whispers started to rise. Someone had seen the queen leave. Others had noticed Lyra was missing. The story moved like fire. When Lyra and Ethan returned, all eyes turned to them. They did not touch now. They stood apart. But their silence spoke louder than anything. Queen Zalara returned to her throne. She looked across the room. Her voice rang out. "This night is over. All guests will leave." The hall emptied. Behind closed doors, the queen called her council. The chamber was cold. Elder Silon spoke first. "You saw it yourself? She has chosen the human. She is still young," Nala said. "She is no longer fit to rule," Cylon said. "She must be removed." Solara said nothing for a long time. Then she spoke. "No, not yet. We will wait." Her voice was flat. Her heart was not. The palace was quiet the next morning. The halls were empty, and the doors were closed. Queen Zalara stayed in her chamber. No one was allowed to see her. Outside, the sky was dark, even though the sun had risen. The whole city felt cold. Lyra was not allowed to leave her room. Guards stood at her door. Her window showed the garden, but it felt far away now. She sat on her bed and looked at the floor. She did not cry. Her eyes were dry, but her heart was heavy. Across the city, in the human sector, Ethan was also locked inside. Not by guards, but by order. He was told to stay in his room and wait for instructions. His team did not know what to say. They avoided his eyes. Only one of them, a woman named Claire, spoke. "You care for her," Claire said. "Yes," Ethan answered. "Then you must be ready to lose her." In the palace council room, Queen Zalara stood before the elders. Her face showed no emotion. Elder Salon was the first to speak. "Your daughter has disrespected the crown. The people will ask questions. We must act." "What do you suggest?" the queen asked. "Remove her from the line. Send the human away. Close the gate to Earth." Another elder, Tala, spoke. "Some of the younger Valari support Lyra. They speak of change. If we act too fast, they may turn against us." "Change is dangerous," Silon said. Queen Zalara raised her hand. "We will not act today. Give me time." That night, Queen Zalara watched the stars. Her hand touched the glass. She remembered Lyra as a child, playing in the garden, laughing with her little brother who had died many years ago. She remembered telling her daughter to be strong, to never trust outsiders. But now her daughter had found trust in someone else. In her room, Lyra stood by the window. She whispered Ethan's name, knowing he could not hear. She thought of his smile, of how he listened, how he never asked her to change. Ethan sat on the floor in his room. He held a small photo of Earth, but in his mind he saw Lyra. On the streets, small groups of young Valari talked in quiet voices. They shared images of Lyra and Ethan. They spoke of peace, of choice, of freedom. The old ways no longer felt right to them. The queen watched a recording from the garden. She saw the moment when Lyra took Ethan's hand. She paused the image and stared at their faces. Something inside her shifted. She left her chamber and walked alone to the garden. The air was still. The water in the pool was calm. She stood where her daughter had stood. Her hand reached out, not to touch, but to feel what Lyra might have felt. She returned to her chamber and sent a message to the council. She asked for one more meeting, this time with both human and Valari leaders present. In the morning, the great hall was opened again. The guests were fewer now. The air was tense. Queen Zalara stood before them. Ethan was brought in by guards. Lyra entered from the other side. The queen looked at them both. Her voice was strong. I have seen much. I have heard many voices. Some speak of fear, others speak of hope. But I have looked into the eyes of my daughter, and I have seen something new. Something we never planned for. She paused. The room was silent. The bond between a Valari and a human was not written in our books, but it is real. Cannot deny what stands before us. She turned to Lyra. Your path is your own, but it will not be easy. She turned to Ethan. You are not my enemy. The council did not speak. They listened. Lyra stepped forward. Ethan did too. They stood together again. For the first time, Queen Zalara gave a small nod. Change had begun. The sun rose over the alien city. Its golden light touched the towers and the wide halls of the palace. It was the first morning after the Queen's public words. Many still did not believe what they had heard. Others waited to see what would happen next. Ethan stood at the edge of the human sector, looking at the tall walls of the palace. He was not a soldier. He was not a leader. But something inside him had changed. He had not come to this world for war or politics. He had come for peace. Now, without planning it, he had become part of something much larger. Lyra walked alone through the royal hall. The guards let her pass without a word. The queen had given no new orders. The halls that once felt cold now felt open. Some servants nodded as she walked. Others looked away. Not all had accepted what happened. In the council room, Queen Zalara sat with the elders. Their faces were tight. Elder Salon spoke first. Your words have caused unrest. Some houses are angry. Others are confused. Let them be, Zalara said. They fear what they do not understand. You allow your daughter to stand with the human, he said. I allow her to choose, the queen answered. This weakens the empire. No, Zalara said. It makes us stronger. Meanwhile, a message was sent to the human station in orbit. The message was clear. The Valari queen called for a meeting between both worlds. Not just leaders, but people. Artists, builders, thinkers, teachers. The message spread fast. Both sides prepared. In a large open hall near the city center, humans and Valari gathered. There were no guards, no weapons, no formal dress. Just people, talking, showing, sharing. A Valari child painted with a human artist. Human engineer showed a Valari how to grow plants from earth and alien soil. Voices mixed. Laughter rose. Ethan walked through the crowd. He was not looking for anyone, but he felt something. And then he saw her. Lyra stood near a group of young Valari. They were listening to a story from a human explorer. When she saw Ethan, her face lit up. They walked to each other. No words were needed. They stood together as if nothing had ever come between them. Queen Zalara watched from above. She stood on a small balcony with her hands resting on the edge. Elder Talus stood beside her. It has begun, Talus said. Yes, the queen replied, and it cannot be stopped. Many days passed. The bond between the two species grew stronger. Joint schools were opened. Valari ships visited Earth. Human doctors studied Valari medicine. The news spread across both galaxies. Some still protested. There were walls in many minds, but not in all. Ethan and Lyra stayed close. They did not speak of the future much. They lived each day as it came. He showed her Earth books. She took him to ancient Valari caves. Sometimes they just walked. Sometimes they sat in silence. One evening, the queen invited them to her chamber. It was the same room where Lyra had once stood as a child. Zalara did not wear her crown. Her voice was soft, but her words were clear. You have changed my world, she said. Not with force, not with power, but with something I forgot long ago. Trust. Lyra stepped forward. I did not mean to break rules. I only wanted to be free. Freedom comes with cost, Zalara said. But you have earned it, both of you. She reached out and placed her hand on both their shoulders. It was not a royal act. It was a mother's act. Outside, the stars began to glow. The queen walked to the window and looked up. Somewhere out there was Earth. Somewhere peace had started. On that alien world, under 2 moons and the golden towers, a new story had been written. Not just of love, but of change. Not just of 2 people, but of 2 worlds. Subscribe to Terra Strike Wars for more stories like this. Like, share, and turn on notifications.